Hi everyone, this is Karin Campbell, Joslyn Art Museum's Phil Willson Curator of Contemporary Art, and I'm going to share with you a bit today about this 2013 painting by Rozeal, the title of which is a bit of a mouthful, so please bear with me. It's called Smoking Pipe and Pods, 11:11 and 12:23, Trifecta Inclusion. Child walking past window heard to say, first comes, then comes, farr, mountain tops of memories of tomorrows. Study. So we'll unpack parts of that kind of quirky title in just a few moments. But I wanted to start with some biographical information about Rozeal that I think really helps to explain both the aesthetic influences in her work as well as the conceptual underpinnings. When Rozeal was a child, her mother took her to see kabuki theater, this traditional form of Japanese theater that dates to the 17th century. And she recalls being entranced by the highly stylized choreography and elaborate face paint in these dramatic performances. But what was perhaps most impactful for the young Rozeal was kabuki's blurring of gender lines. In kabuki theater, both male and female roles are played by men, suggesting that gender is fluid. So in 2001, Rozeal has the opportunity to travel to Japan for the first time, and there she witnessed the performance of identity in another Japanese cultural phenomenon known as ganguro, which essentially translates to blackface. So in the 1990s, teenage girls in Japan began practicing ganguro, which entailed darkening their skin and donning fantastical makeup and hairstyles to mimic the look of African-American hip-hop musicians. Now, Rozeal has said that she found ganguro to be deeply troubling, given the use of blackface in America's history of racial discrimination. Yet she was also fascinated by these Japanese adolescents and their attempts to exist in two different worlds at one time. The artist's engagement with Japanese art has continued in her study of woodblock prints, especially shunga, which are erotic prints that date primarily to the mid-19th century, as well as images of the Japanese courtesans known as geishas. So let's get to this work, which for everyone's sanity, I'm just going to refer to as Smoking Pipe and Pods. This is a really special painting in Joslyn's collection, as Rozeal was the first artist featured in the Riley Kapp Gallery when it opened in 2014. At the time, you may recall that she was going by the moniker I, Rozeal B. So the Riley Kapp Gallery is the first space in the museum's history dedicated exclusively to living artists, and we were lucky to work quite closely with Rozeal. She spent almost a week in Omaha, and we did a public program together. She attended the opening of the gallery, and perhaps most exciting, she executed a large painting on site, so it was a lot of fun to watch her process play out. So this painting was in Rozeal's show, and I think it's a really wonderful example of her style. So the term mashup usually applies to a song that brings together elements of existing musical compositions. I think we can read Rozeal's images as visual mashups that draw on a wide variety of sources, including pop music, television, comic book graphics, religious iconography. It kind of runs the gamut. Smoking Pipe and Pods is from a body of work loosely titled All I Ever Wanted, My God, My Man. And this body of work reflects Rozeal's ongoing interest in the Japanese artist Kitagawa Utamaro, who was making work in the second half of the 18th century and was particularly well known for his woodblock prints featuring beautiful women. In this painting, we see a racially ambiguous couple in the midst of a romantic rendezvous. Both figures sport elaborate hairstyles, which is a common motif in Rozeal's work, and their partially obscured blue skin is a nod to the makeup used in both kabuki and ganguro. Although the imagery in this painting directly quotes a shunga woodcut, the artist wanted to subvert the explicit representation of sexuality demonstrated in that print by asserting that there can be a connection between physical passion and the more intangible feeling we call love. So to do that, she emphasizes the tenderness of this intimate moment. She surrounds the couple with beautiful fabrics, which are collaged onto the canvas's surface. She gives them pearl jewelry, their little animals. And she calls these cozy setting pods, which explains part of that novel-length title, which I promise I will return to in a moment. She also includes a tiny bee to the right of the man's head, and this is a nod to the metaphor of the birds and the bees. We see a lot of references to nature in Rozeal's work, especially in her recent paintings, and I think we can see this as an acknowledgement that instinct often plays a role in attraction and love. So Rozeal incorporates a couple of references to the idea that coupling is both basic and intuitive behavior in the painting's title. The more well-known reference here, of course, is the childhood playground rhyme, first comes love, then comes marriage. But there's perhaps a more obscure allusion, and that's pon farr. And this is a term I will admit I'd never heard before researching for Rozeal's exhibition. But the Trekkies out there will know that pon farr is part of the mating ritual of Vulcans in the Star Trek universe. So I'm going to leave you to ponder that concept, and thank you for joining me today. Please continue to check Joslyn's social pages for more video content coming soon.